So my name's Erica Boyer Foster. Currently, I just got married last weekend. Um, I guess I'll start my childhood. I was raised up in church with a family. My mom had 9 kids, so we was a well gathered family that went to church and did everything right. And so I had a good childhood. I did until I was about 11 years old, and I had some things end up happening to me, and that I don't want to talk about. But when I was 13, I found out that my dad really wasn't my dad, which was my first trigger of what really set me off. I ended up finding out my dad was Clarence Seeley, which is a known guy around here. Like, he's known for fighting and being a rough guy. And so I wanted to live up to his expectation, and that's what I did. I was a fighter. I would fight men. I'd fight anybody. If you looked at me, I just wanted to fight you. That was what my reputation was for fighting. And but I ended up 17 years old. I ended up finding the first love of my life, and Herbie Boyer, and ended up having 4 beautiful kids with him and a beautiful marriage. But um, in 2006, his uh, his cousin, 2 of his cousins that were really really close to us, the brother shot the brother and killed him. So that was really traumatic on us, and we both started using drugs really really bad after that. And he got so bad to the point that in 2009 he had heart failure. He had caught endocarditis, and after that, for years, he didn't quit. He kept doing it, kept doing it. In 2011, he ended up having a massive stroke right in front of me. The last time that he was like normal, he looked at me and he stuck his thumb up. But after that, he was never the same. He lost the right side of his body, and his mind wasn't right. And so I did hardcore more drugs. I was so blasted out that I ended up getting arrested in 2012 and going to prison for 3 months. Well, when I got out, I come home to my husband, which was no longer my husband. He wasn't my husband. Nothing about him was my husband, and I I just ended up falling out of love with him because I couldn't watch him kill himself. He kept doing the drugs, no matter how bad he was. I couldn't stay with him because I knew he was going to die, and I knew how much it would hurt me because I loved him so much. Uh, so I ended up leaving him, but anywhere I went, no matter who I was with, he was allowed there. He was fathering my kids. He was by my side no matter what. And throughout my whole life, I've lost my kids. I probably lost my kids 7 or 8 times, and I always fought to get them back. And in 2014, I ended up getting with my now husband, Chris Foster, and during the process of losing my kids, he stood up. 2 months after we got together, he stood up and started fighting to get my kids back with me. I ain't never felt that love before. So I ended up getting my kids back, but I had them for 3 years, and I don't know, just drugs came upon me one day, and I started doing them again. I lost my kids for good, and I lost everything. I mean, the house, my kids, my cars, literally everything. Me and Chris ended up going to, he went to prison and I went to jail for 9 months. And, and that was in 2019. Well, I got out before he did in December, and I was okay for 3 weeks. Uh, I started doing drugs again. I went hardcore to the point that I was homeless. My kids were gone. They were up for adoption. Like, paperwork is in the process. The court was coming. Um, I ended up getting sick. I went to my daughter's house and I stayed there for a few days. And I thought, well, the more dope I do it, I'll stop being sick. But I wasn't. And Herbie, my husband, was there with her. And I said, I need a cigarette. And he went and got me a menthol cigarette. And I hit that menthol cigarette and I was done. I couldn't breathe. So they put me in a car and they take me to the hospital in Harrison. And I'm there 45 minutes and they tell me they got to ship me off. I'm so bad. I'm about to die. So they sent me to Cincinnati Mercy Health, and they started running all kinds of tests on me. I had blood clots all over my body. I had infection running through my body. I had caught endocarditis. All my organs were literally shutting down. Um, the doctors actually came in and, they told me I was gonna die. Like, there was 8 doctors, 1 for each organ, and they said, "There's nothing they can do. I'm gonna die." So as soon as he leaves the room, I call my mom. And I tell her, "Please have everybody pray for me because I know God can save me." So I fought for 6 months. I had multiple surgeries. I had to have, a big hole in my chest cut out, a ball infection bigger than my hand cut out. You could literally see my ribs, and I had to have this hole in my chest for 2 months because they had to let it close together. But during that process, I had a pump on my chest with a wire that sit and sucked out 3.5 gallons of infection out of my body. Like, I'm a miracle to be alive, and I know it's God to save me. I know it is. They wouldn't give me my heart surgery. I had to have heart surgery because I caught endocarditis. And so they made me wait. And now this is during the time of COVID, so I wasn't allowed around nobody. My mom put me out in a trailer in the middle of nowhere where nobody could find me. So I stayed there, and I ended up having my heart surgery. And from there, everything started falling in place. And Chris had got out of prison. And I fought, and I got my kids back. I got all my kids back. And my oldest boy, um, he wouldn't talk to me. Even on my deathbed, he did not talk to me. He didn't call his mom, nothing. If I was gonna die, he wasn't gonna talk to me. But he seen that I got his brothers back, so he came back into my life. Now, God saved me so much that all that hatred I had for fighting, I have for love now. I wanna tell everybody about the love of Jesus and what he's done for me. I got a home, my bills are paid, I got a job. I got a man that's finally gave his life to God and was able to marry him because he continued to be a drug addict while I was with him. He's almost a year clean now. But I prayed and I prayed, God, just, make him sick, make him puke to where he don't never want to do it again. Well, God, man, he got sick. He got so sick that he was on his deathbed. I know God answers my prayers. He might not do it the way I want, but he does it the way he wants and the way he knows it needs to be done. So that woke Chris up. That woke him up. He quit doing drugs, and now he's all about God. He's a man. You would have asked me. My preacher asked me to marry him, and I told him no. I told him I wouldn't marry him. But now I got a grandbaby. I got another one on the way. Like I'm almost 5 years clean now, and it's all because of God. All because of God. And during this process, my kid's dad did die from the endocarditis. So not only my kids have to deal with the trauma of their dad dying through that, their mom was almost dying from it too, and they lost their dad. Now they only have their mom. Yeah. All I can say is thank God. Thank God for saving me. If he can do it for me, he can do it for anybody. I mean, I was the lowest of low. I was a meth heroin addict. I was shoving needles in my arms. I was doing the most. Every time I would take a shot, people would get scared because I would pass out. I was ODing. Every time I take a shot, I'd take so much I was sitting there ODing, and people thought it was just because I was high. I don't even know how many times I don't. But God's been by my side every bit of the way for the goodness of God.